So, good evening. We are back to the study of the Spirit's book. We are on chapter 7 of book 2, which is the return to the Spirit, return to the corporeal life. We started last week, and we are going to start, and we are basically talking about reincarnation, the reincarnation process. And we are going to start on question 334, which was where we stopped a couple of weeks ago. We are going to go a little bit deeper, more beyond the Spirit's book today on reincarnation, because there are some very useful information brought by the Spirit André Luiz through the psychography of Francisco Xavier on the book Evolution in Two Worlds. And so we are going to go there after a couple of questions here. Okay, so let's start, Philip, 334.
Is the union of a soul with a given body predestined, or is the choice of a body made at the last moment? The spirit is always assigned beforehand. Spirits choose the trials they will endure and request to reincarnate. God, who sees and knows all things, has foreseen that this soul would be united to that particular body.
So, of course, nothing in the natural laws happened by chance. The union of a reincarnating spirit to a new physical body is something that is planned in advance. Of course, most cases of reincarnation follow the natural law and don't need any special attention. It's just a natural process. But special cases need special treatments. In the end, spirits that are able to participate in the process of reincarnation are spirits that are aware first of the process of reincarnation, evolved enough to be part of it, and willing to participate. Again, the book The Messengers, chapter 13, talks about the Center for Studies of Reincarnation in our Ministry of Reincarnation in Nosso where André Luiz spends some time learning more about reincarnation. But I think I'm going to go to Evolution in Two Worlds now, because when we are talking about spirits choosing the trials they will endure and request to reincarnate, meaning the spirits, it is not all spirits. And André Luiz gives us some very interesting explanations in the book Evolution in Two Worlds. I'm going to share here and ask Philip to read. It's two sub-items of chapter 19, Evolution in Two Worlds, chapter 19, part 1. So the first one is the particularities of reincarnation. Okay, Philip, can you read for us?
One may rightly ask if there is an invariable technique involved in the process of reincarnation. This is like asking if the process of death is the same for everyone. Despite the fact that birth and death seem the same for everybody, each reincarnating spirit presents essential particularities as it takes on a new body in the physical sphere, just as each individual displays different characteristics when he or she surrenders to the liberating process of death. High-order spirits have a subtle connection with the material mind that is offering them shelter, and thus can nearly always shape, often with the collaboration of instructors from the greater world, the body in which they will continue their future experiences, intervening in the essential chromosomes in light of the tasks I can't see the rest.
They need to carry out.
In most cases, low-order spirits, on the other hand, suffering from tyrannizing monotheism, enter into a fluidic symbiosis with the female organizations that will receive them, experiencing the emanation of their spiritual body and the phenomenon of ovidization.
Voidization.
Ovidization?
Void, becoming an ovoid.
Oh, ovidization. Okay, thank you. They are irresistibly attracted to the uterine vessel under circumstances that are suitable for their reincarnation. Their forms are entirely dependent on heredity, just as is the case with the seed, which after disconnecting from the dry fruit, germinates in the ground according to organogenetic principles as soon as conditions are favorable. Because these two orders of spirits, between these two orders of spirits, however, there are millions of average spirits, bearers of appreciable credits and numerous debts, and whose reincarnation requires careful preparation and foresight.
Okay. So thanks, Philip. So I thought it was important to bring this because André Luiz brings some very important concepts. The first one, the first concept is the technique involved in the process of reincarnation, if it's the same for everyone, is like asking if the process of death is the same for everyone. And actually it's the contrary. Is each individual reincarnation or death is completely particular to the individual and has and again, it has similarities in the process. The death is the separation of the physical, the spiritual body from the physical body, but each death is different. Each reincarnation is different also. Each reincarnating spirit presents essential particularities, as André Luiz says here, as each individual displays different characteristics when he or she surrenders the process of death, right? Now, then André Luiz divides in three groups of spirits, which is what I would like to bring here, right? High order spirits, more evolved spirits. High order spirits, we suppose that in the vast majority, they all understand and accept the concept of reincarnation. So they have a subtle connection with the maternal mind, the mind of the mother that is receiving them, that is going to offer them shelter, thus can nearly always, again, nearly always, not always, shape with the collaboration of instructors from the spiritual world, the body in which they'll continue their future experiences, intervening in the essential chromosomes in light of the tasks they need to carry out. If you go into Missionaries of the Light, in that chapter I mentioned, you'll see André Luiz talking about it and discussing it with Manassés, who is the spiritual guide of this visit, and Manassés explaining to him and going into some particular cases of spirits that he calls the completers, which are spirits that fulfilled 100% of their objectives in their previous existence, and with that gaining the right to fully participate in their next reincarnation process. And the individual cases, you know, one that is going to come with a problem in one of the legs, the other is going to come with a problem in the digestive system, a lady that is going to come, doesn't want to come very attractive because it will distract her, so she's going to come average looking because it allows the person to work without being the center of attention, which is the case of extreme beauty, or the opposite side, not attractive and repelling. It causes problems for the spirit in their incarnation. When the spirit is average, they can do the work without being disturbed. So the higher order spirits will participate in their, and normally they will incarnate with some objectives. Mostly they will come to help and assist others. They will come always with some trials because it's a way of them evolving. They will maybe come with some atonements or expiations if they need to clean them in terms of their progress. So they are most likely very involved in the reincarnation process, and also high order spirits during the pregnancy of the mother, they not necessarily need to be unconscious or in a dormant state like the majority of spirits are. The majority of spirits, when they are losing their perispiritual format and entering in this process of reducing the perispirit, André Luiz calls here the phenomenon of avoidization, meaning, when we connect to the new physical body that is being formed, the physical body is a small grain, right? So the perispirit needs to be a small grain and grows from there, right? So this is why they call the process of avoidization, which shouldn't be confused with the ovoids in the spiritual world, which are spirits that are immersed in monoideas, and because of monoideas, they lose the perispiritual form in the spiritual world. Here we're talking about the process of reincarnation, the phenomenon of avoidization, meaning the perispiritual form being, you get rid of everything that is no longer needed for the new physical body, the parts of the spiritual matter of the perispirit that are no longer needed for the new incarnation, the reincarnation. André Luiz explains this very well in a different chapter in Evolution in Two Worlds, if someone wants to go a little bit deeper into that. So when he go to low order spirits that are suffering from monoideism, as he calls here, monoidea, they attach to their future mothers, the female organizations, in a fluidic symbiosis. They are irresistibly attracted to the vessel. They are not aware of the process that is going on. Sometimes they are not even aware that there is a reincarnation. They are attracted to the new physical body, to the body of the mother by the natural laws. Their forms are entirely dependent on heredity, meaning high order spirits can choose, according to the material available from the father and the mother, what is best for them, for what they need their new physical body, what they use for the physical body. The less evolved spirits will also have some control from the spiritual world, but mostly they will be inheriting the parents, what the parents are giving them without them being able to choose anything. But as André Luiz says here, between the two orders of spirits, however, there are millions of average spirits, bearers of appreciable credits and numerous debts, meaning we have both. Most of us are here, right? We have things that we merit and things that we need to readjust, and whose reincarnation requires careful preparation and foresight. There is a team in the spiritual world, as we see in the book Missionaries of the Light, that takes care of this process. Okay? There is a second part here that I want to read on the which is the reduction of the spiritual body, which I think complements what we are studying here. Philip, please.
Thus, institutions for anatomical sculpting operate in the spirit realm, chiseling diverse forms in order to guide the charts or pre-configurations of the endeavor that reincarnating spirits will be responsible for later on. Bodies, limbs, organs, fibers, and cells are sketched out and studied there before earthly rematerialization even begins, because in cases where the soul oscillates between merit and demerit, reincarnation remains under the auspices of the authorities and servants of spiritual justice, who mete out resources to each student of spiritual growth according to the edifying task included in his or her life's curriculum. Hence, candidates for reincarnation who are not evolved enough to supervise it under their own discernment, but who are far from the primitive backward state that would make them complete slaves to physical inheritance, are admitted to hospital institutions where discarnate magnetizers, sufficiently competent due to their inner worthiness, apply soothing fluids to these incarnating spirits. Depending on their moral evolution, these fluids enable them to sleep for variable periods of time so that, based on sleep therapy, the psychosomatic principles may adapt to the reduction process. Consequently, they return to the human cradle under specific conditions, interned in a new body, like a worker possessing virtues
and defects, sorry, to whom a new
and
work,
effects to whom the new work uniform and new opportunity is given.
okay. So here, it's a continuation of what our study. So it's a little bit more André Luiz talking about first the experience he had in the book Missionaries of the Light in the Reincarnation Planning Center, the Institute of Reincarnation there in the spiritual world in Ossular, when he says body, limbs, organs, fibers, and cells are sketched out and studied there before earthly rematerialization even begins. Because then reincarnation remains under the auspices of authorities and servants of spiritual justice, and so on and so forth. So, candidates for reincarnation who are not evolved enough to supervise it under their own discernment. So, they don't participate in their reincarnation process, but they are not in the primitive state that will make them complete slaves to physical inheritance. That's what we said here before about low order spirits. They are placed in hospital-like institutions in the spiritual world where discarnate magnetizers apply fluids, and depending on their moral evolution, these fluids enable them to sleep for some periods of time with sleep therapy, and the psychosomatic principles may adapt to the reduction process, meaning the losing of the perispirit form. So the perispirit is slowly losing the form that he had in the spiritual world, and is reconnecting, is connecting to the new physical body that is going to start developing as soon as the new mother gets pregnant. That was basically the idea here that I wanted to bring on this process of reincarnation, and I think it's important for us to reflect. Any questions, comments here on what we read? Anyone?
I think of one of the scenes at the end of Messengers 2, I think they show something like a room with small compartments where spirits were like sleeping,
Being prepared for
reincarnation.
reincarnation. Yes, yes, I think so. I think that was the case there. Yeah. Okay, Philip, 335.
Can the spirit choose its body, or does it only choose the kind of life it is to bear for its trial? A spirit may also choose a body because the imperfections of this body are trials that will further its advancement. If it succeeds in overcoming the obstacles placed in its path, this choice is not always the spirit's to make, but it can ask. Question A. Can a spirit refuse to enter a body chosen for it at the last moment before reincarnation? If, if it refuses, it suffers much more than one who does not attempt to go through a trial.
Okay, so based on what we studied a little bit, so can a spirit choose its body if it's highly evolved or it's more evolved? Yes. Does it choose the kind of life it's bear for its trial? The spirit may also choose a body, choosing the limitations of the body that will allow him or her to perform what's expected of them in the new physical life, trials that will help them grow again. Trials are new challenges, not consequences of our past. Difficulties we face because of the learning process. Expiations are difficulties we face as a consequence of our mistakes in our past. So, the spirit says this choice is not always the spirit's to make, but it can ask again if it's aware of the process. Now, the second question here, it goes in a different direction. Can a spirit refuse to enter a body chosen for it at the last moment? Yes, it can. And actually, sometimes it happens during the pregnancy, which is cause for miscarriages that happen sometimes. Again, there are different reasons why a miscarriage can happen. One of the reasons is the spirit refusing to enter the body, but the spirit needs to be conscious, to be aware of the process. It's a very difficult situation and very rare, but it can happen. And if it happens, of course, the spirit faces the consequences of it, because if it's an opportunity, and it's an opportunity that many spirits are looking for, and there are more spirits in the spiritual world waiting for reincarnation than available mothers prepared to expect to receive new children. So each opportunity that a spirit has to reincarnate is a precious opportunity. So if a spirit refuses to enter a body after the process starts, it's going to face serious consequences. Again, if the mother is not pregnant yet, and the mother becomes pregnant, there will be other spirits attached. There are spirits available. But if the process has already started, the mother is pregnant and the spirit is already attached to the new physical body that is forming, then a miscarriage will happen. Because it cannot be replaced, as we are going to see very soon in another question here. Okay?
João,
yes, Fabio.
What is the situation on abortions based on what you just said?
Abortion is the next item that we're going to study. It's not going to be this week, so.
Okay.
All right, just as a heads up, we're going to study next week abortion.
Okay, thank you.
Because when we start talking about abortion, it takes forever, right? It goes long. So and because the next item is abortion, it's better if we leave it for next week. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
336.
Yeah.
Can a body about to be born not find a spirit willing to incarnate in it? God can provide for any possibility. Every child who is to be born alive is always predestined to have a soul. Nothing is created without a design.
Okay, so this is a complicated question to understand what Kardec was asking here and what the spirits are saying. So the idea here is, and I went to the Portuguese and I went to the French to try to understand this question, right? The idea here is talking about, does every pregnancy has a spirit attached to it? And the answer is not everyone, right? The key here is to be born alive on the answer. In the original, in Portuguese, is vital, and in French is also this, meaning is a child who is to be born. If a child is born alive, it has a spirit connected to it, even if it dies right after being born. If it's stillborn, it's called stillborn when it's born dead. If it's stillborn, it may never had a spirit attached to it. Okay, that's what they are asking here. It's very rare because, again, as I mentioned before, it's more likely that a miscarriage will happen before, because you know, for the spirit to be born without a soul connected to it, without a spirit connected to it, again, it can develop the full pregnancy in the physical aspect of it, right? The heart beating and everything, without having a spirit attached, but will not survive.
Yeah, but not the full pregnancy. For one thing, at least with our science today, they will see that it's a non-viable pregnancy that will terminate, likely so, in the doctor's office. They'll take care of it. Because there is a biological process. Once that model starts to grow, it's going to follow its process. But we'll come to a point that will not be able to maintain that process, because we're not going to be able to get the necessary supply from the mother, right? And the placenta is not going to be a good health placenta to support that fetus. So most of the cases we will die. But even before that, most likely they recognize there is no heartbeat, they will just terminate or eliminate a non-viable pregnancy product.
It's what they call, I don't know in English, modular form, is that?
And that's for me.
That's, yeah, okay.
What is it called in English?
Yes, I forgot about the first one.
Yeah.
How is it in Russian? Modular form. Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Ella.
Exactly.
Okay.
A lot of things. To me, sounds controversial that I have to eliminate the controversy, because I'm sure there is none. But the idea, the general idea is that the perispirit is the biological organizer of the body. And when I read this from evolution into words, it kind of contradicts that to me a little bit. Especially when it comes to higher spirit, as if they are going to trick law, which is impossible. So I have to go and try to eliminate the controversy. Also, the idea of, in the second question, oh no, let's go there. Not going to be very hard to discuss it.
Okay.
But there is some apparent controversies here that will have to be cleared out. One, what is the function of the perispirit in all of this? What is the function of all the perispirit that already carries the responsibilities from the previous reincarnation for the formation of that new body? in terms of anatomy, it's gonna come back without a hand, like in the case of the memories of a suicide. In terms of someone who committed suicide, let's say by shooting their brains, that we know, Chico Xavier can explain that very well, that likely the next reincarnation of that spirit, we're gonna have, encephalopathologies. What is the responsibility of the perispirit in the formation of that new body? Because all that responsibilities are imprinted in the perispirit for the next reincarnation. And what we just read over here, to me, there is something that doesn't go together.
By what you read in André Luiz literature combined with what you read in the Spirit's book, the Spirit's responsible for the reincarnation knows what is needed for the new physical body, and will take from the mother and the father. Of course, you cannot be not hereditary, right? It has to be
the
laws of genetic, but there are millions of possibilities in the laws of genetics, right? In the mother and the father DNA that can be combined and produce what is needed. But again, I more than that, you have to go into biology that it's not my area of expertise, but I only go by what we have in André Luiz and here in the Spirit's book. Okay.
337.
Yes, please.
Does God ever enforce the union of a soul with a given body? Sometimes it is imposed in support of the different trials to be suffered by a spirit, especially when the latter is still too inferior to be able to make the choice for itself. As a form of atonement, a spirit may be forced to enter the body of a child that, due to its birth and the circumstances it will encounter in the world, it will serve for the spirit as a way of atonement.
Yeah, here again, when we read that God ever enforce, does the natural law imposes into the new body the necessities of the spirit for trials and atonements that we'll have to face? And the answer is yes. And here the Spirit says, the only time they say, when the latter is still too inferior to be able to make the choice for itself. Because before it was talking about all spirits being able to make the choices. But here they are talking about spirits not being able to choose the new physical body. So we know that we have to face the consequences of our previous actions, and not necessarily in the next incarnation. It can be in installments, because if we have to face everything in one incarnation, the only thing what's going to happen is that we're going to fail again, very likely. So what happens is that we are going to come to a physical body that gives us the best available possibility of us dealing with our trials and atonements, the best situation for ourselves. And that's going to be guided by the spirits in charge of our reincarnation process. So the body may be imposed upon us, if we don't have the ability to choose, as our own necessity and the best opportunity for our progress. We are never going to face difficulties that are beyond our possibility to overcome. If it looks like we are not able to overcome the challenge, we are, because nothing comes on our way that we cannot overcome in our specific incarnation. Okay.
338. If several spirits ask to be incarnated in a body that is about to be born, how would the decision be made among them? In such a case, God judges which spirit is best fit to fulfill the destiny appointed for the child. However, as I have already told you, the spirit is chosen before the moment in which it is to join the body.
So here we're talking, if there are more than one candidate for a specific mother that is going to become pregnant, the natural law will direct the most appropriate spirit according to the spirit needs, the parents' needs, the situation. So yes, there are 3 times more spirits in the spiritual world than incarnated spirits. So the number of newborns every day is in the world is more than 200,000. So there are 200,000 spirits being born every day throughout the world. But there are probably 600,000 spirits that want to be reincarnated or need to be reincarnated. So it is always it is always chosen according to the necessities of all those involved, parents and spirits reincarnate. Sometimes it can happen, like in the book that we just finished, Between Heaven and Earth. Julio needed to reincarnate, but to prepare for the reincarnation, Evelina was sent before. So he needed to come to those specific situations, Julio, but the eldest, Evelina, is born before. It's a more evolved spirit to help the family in the process. So that can be also a case in which a spirit wants to reincarnate, but the best option is for some other spirit to come before, connected to them to help the process. Okay?
$339.
Just a second. Yeah.
I just have to remind you that the spirits attached to the body, well, over here, the moment of conception.
Yes.
Right, so the idea, not to make sure over here, because it sounds wrong, if several spirits has to be incarnate in a body that's about to be born, it's not about to be born, being delivered, that 9 months of pregnancy,
Yeah.
just to clarify that over here,
Yeah.
because it sounds wrong.
Yeah, but in the answer, the spirits say that, right? I told you the spirit's chosen before the moment in which it is to join the body. So the spirits make
the body is the
in
moment
the
of conception.
of conception.
The formation of the cycle.
Yes, in the moment of conception, yeah, it has to be
It's
very clear.
not a body that is already been developed intra-uterine in 3-4 months already now.
Once the spirit is the process starts and the spirit is connected to the body, that's it, right? It cannot be replaced. It can not be born for different reasons, but it cannot be replaced. So it only applies to before the mother gets pregnant, the moment of conception. Only applies to that.
Yeah, just want to clarify that it's not like 3 months of pregnancy. Oh, you need a spirit over here after this body. No, it's not like this.
339.
Yeah.
Is incarnation marked by confusion similar to what follows a spirit separation from the body? Much greater and longer. At death, the spirit is released from slavery. At birth, the spirit re-enters it.
That's a very important difference here, right? Because we studied the discarnation in the chapter before, and we talked about the process taking up to the 72 hours, the state of confusion, the spirit enters into the spiritual world. But with all that, in normal cases, the spirit regains their awareness, even if not understanding where they are and what's happening to them, but recovers their awareness in a relative short period of time back in the spiritual world. The process of reincarnation, during 9 months, the spirit is in a state of confusion, because it's kind of in a sleep state or in a dreamlike state. After it's born, the beginning of the life of a newborn spirit, it's also not very clear, because the spirit that is connected to a physical body that is not developed enough to think, to talk, to express itself, it has to continue to be in a, as they say here, in a prison, so to say, right? When we go back to the spiritual world, we are released from a physical body that is something that constrains the full expression of the eternal spirit. So it's understandable that the process of birth, the whole process of reincarnation, the confusion takes a much longer time than the process of death. Okay.
340?
Yeah.
Is a spirit's reincarnation a solemn moment? Does it accomplish this act as something serious and important for it? The spirit is like a traveler embarking on a dangerous journey, not knowing if it will drown in the waves beneath its vessel. Travelers know what dangers they are risking, but they do not know if they will die or not. The same applies to a spirit. It knows the kind of trials to which it will be submitted, but it does not know if it will succumb. As the death of the body is a rebirth for the spirit, reincarnation is like death, or perhaps more accurately, like exile and confinement. Spirits leave the spirit world for the physical world, just as human beings leave the physical world for the spiritual world. A spirit knows that it is going to reincarnate, just as a human being knows that it will die. But they only become aware of this change at the moment it occurs. It is at this time that the confusion produced by changes takes hold and lasts until the new existence is fully established. I can't see the rest.
Part of reincarnation is agony for a spirit. So when we talk about the reincarnation as a solemn moment, the question from Kardec, if we go to Nosso Solar and we remember André Luiz living that house with Lysias, with Laura, the mother, and the whole family there that is in the process of reincarnation, there is a big celebration from when the mother is preparing to reincarnate. But of course, this is for spirits that are already in a state of awareness and have the merit of being reunited with friends that can follow the process and that enter into this process. So it's like a go-away party for these spirits. The majority of spirits, those that find themselves in the lower zones or in the inferior dark places in the spiritual world, or they're not fully aware of their situation in the spiritual world, the process of reincarnation will come as a natural state, like without any special celebration, so to say. But yes, for the spirits that are already at a certain level of evolvement, and doesn't need to be much, because Nosso Lar is a spiritual colony in the lower zones, but it's the first level of organized colonies. Spirits that are there are spirits interested in progressing and learning. So there are spirits that are able to participate many times in their process of reincarnation, and when they're leaving the spiritual world, of course, the friends that stay behind are going to miss them in a way, right? As they say, right? When someone is dying here in the physical world, those that stay behind are crying, the spiritual world is partying. And the other way around, when they are leaving the spiritual world, everyone here is happy with the birth newborn, and everyone in the spiritual world is crying for the one that have departed and started a new journey, right? It's not a very accurate explanation, but it's it's something that we can kind of understand how the process works, okay? Okay, 341.
Does a spirit feel anxious regarding the probability of succeeding in the trials it is to go through in its new life before its incarnation? Yes, the spirit feels a great deal of anxiety since those trials will directly delay or hasten its advancement, depending on whether it fails or not.
Do we feel anxious when we have a new job, when we're moving to a new place, when we are starting a new school, when we are going through some changes in our physical life, right? So imagine the anxiety over a new reincarnation, which encompasses all of that and much more, right? So it's, yes, the spirit will feel a great deal of anxiety. We just have to go back to Sigismundo in the Missionaries of the Light, and he's trying to postpone his reincarnation at a certain point. He's saying that he's not ready, that the work that he's doing in the spiritual world is important, he cannot leave it behind. What is this? This is anxiety. This is consequence of anxiety of the new opportunity that he has. But again, like here, that when you go to a new job, we face anxiety, but eventually it subsides. The same happens. We have anxiety of new reincarnation, and then we go into it, we lose the unconscious and understanding, and then the process starts without the anxiety because we don't remember that we were anxious. Okay.
It's probably a sign of some degree of involvement of that, right? The more ignorant ones, first of all, they suffer for that irresistible attraction from the universe that you just read, and they have choice upon anything. They didn't even know they are reincarnated. So if you have that anxiety, it's somewhat a good sign that we have moved a little bit on the ladder of progress.
Yeah, and the responsibility, right? Because if you don't care, you don't get anxious,
Right.
and it means that you're not going to probably not going to do a good work, right? Okay.
342?
Yeah.
When a spirit is about to reincarnate, is it accompanied by spirit friends who come to send it off from the spirit world in the same way that they welcome it when it returns? That depends on the world that the spirits inhabit. If it belongs to a world where affection reigns, spirits who love that spirit will be with it up to the last moment, encouraging it and often even following the spirit into its new life.
Okay. So it's more of what we already said, right? Depending on our stage, the spirit friends will accompany, like André Luiz participate in the commemoration of the reincarnation of Laura, the mother there, the celebration that they had. So, and it's interesting, they say it belongs to a world where affection reigns. So primitive worlds where instinct reigns above affection, right? Then you would not have accompanied by spirit friends. But at our level of evolution, depending on the level of the spirit, it will happen, and our guardian angel will be by our side whenever we need. Yeah.
Where the guardian angels goes in this situation.
Yeah, again, a less evolved spirit that is not even aware that has a guardian angel, you know, and the guardian angel is there helping, but the spirit's not aware. But if the spirit is aware of the guardian angel, and the guardian angel is a presence in the planning of the process, yes, they are going to be present. Yeah. Okay, last one.
When we see spirits in our dreams showing affection for us and we do not recognize them, Are these our spirit friends who follow us throughout life? Yes. In many cases, they come to visit you, just as you may visit a prisoner in his or her cell.
Yeah. So we are in contact with spirits from the spiritual world in our sleep state, in our dreams, and what they are talking here, Kardec is asking about spirits that come and we don't recognize them. Can there be our spirit friends that are there in spiritual world and didn't reincarnate in this our present life? And the answer, yes. In many cases, they will come to visit you. Can it be our guardian angel? Yes, it can be our guardian angel. Can it be our familiar spirits that are left behind? From previous incarnations, most likely are those that love us and care for us and want to make sure that they are here to help us, to guide us as a reinforcement for our difficulties in our present life. The spirits compare a prisoner in his or her cell, meaning when we are prisoners of our physical body in this incarnation, and the spirits that are free there in the spiritual world will come and visit us. Okay? All right, we're going to stop here. You see Fabio next week. Union of body and soul, abortion. So that's why I said we're going to talk about it next week.
Yes, thank you.
So we're going to stop here. So this Saturday we have a lecture by our friend Marcelo Medeiros, who used to be a member of Inner Enlightenment here in New York and now moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And he's going to talk about scientific spiritism, practical insights for life. So this Saturday, 11 a.m. Through the United States Spiritist Federation YouTube page. Okay. On this Sunday, we are going to be studying the Gospel according to Spiritism. Elmo is going to be bringing some messages related to Christmas and talk about it as we get closer to Christmas time. Okay. Just as a heads up, we are going to be closed. SGNY is going to be closed from the 23rd to the 1st. So our last meeting is 22nd. It's a Sunday, our Q&A session. Then we are closed for the whole week of Christmas and New Year's. And we reopen on Thursday, January 2nd, where we'll be studying here the Spirit's book. Okay? Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Yes, thank you very much, John and Elmo, and thank you very much for Philip reading this evening. Infinite Creator and Supreme Intelligence, we give thanks to be together for our studies of the Spirit's Book, Book 2, Chapter 7, The Return to Physical Life. Each individual reincarnation and death process is unique. That means also every lifetime is also unique. High order spirits understand reincarnation and are in sync with the maternal mind, and they are involved with the reincarnation process. The peri-spirit will be fine-tuned and pre-planned. Low order spirits are dependent on heredity and don't have as much input regarding their reincarnation. This would be based also on their moral evolution. The spirit is guided as to what is needed, especially if it is an atonement. A stillborn child might not have a spirit connected to it. Every child who is born alive is predestined to have a soul. A newborn child, excuse me, has a soul and it must be readjusted during this time. A spirit may be on a new journey. However, this new spirit in a body may be filled with anxiety and agony. We give thanks to the spiritual benefactors and the good spirits for guiding and inspiring us this evening. May we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us and for our loved ones, our teachers, our directors, our counselors, the mediums, the workers, and all participants. We pray for inner peace and especially now for world peace and for those who are suffering in the physical and spiritual worlds. We pray for our center, SGNY, and all Spiritist centers throughout the world, that they may grow, they may prosper, expand, and be protected throughout the day and throughout the night. As we close, we humbly ask for the safety and protection as we return to our family, friends, loved ones, and co-workers. May we go forth now and remind ourselves to be beacons of love, of light, of peace, of service, and charity, which is love in action. May peace and love prevail. So be it.